In this video I'm going to show you how to repair a windsurf board. It's a quick and simple method that I use for small repairs. As you can see here, my friend has put a hole in the bottom of his board. First thing we're going to need to do is to clean it, and then we will need to dry the board out. So we're going to take out the vent screw in the top of the board and keep it somewhere safe. I recommend in one of the foot straps, and leave the board somewhere warm and dry until you can get as much moisture out of the board as possible. Next thing we need to do is to cut away all the damaged area. We don't want any of the damaged parts of the board left, so get a knife and cut away any bits that are flaking around or any of the bits that are cracked and weak. You can see in this picture that I've cut away around the repair and then sanded it down. The reason I do this is because I need an area of the board for the glass to stick onto. When repairing the board, we need to replace like materials for like materials. As you can see, the hole goes quite deep into the board, so I need to replace some of the foam that I've cut away. What I use is a bit of polystyrene foam. I pack the hole and then I sand it so that it's flush with the rest of the repair. Before I glass a board, I need to make sure that I tape around the repair so that I won't get any glass or epoxy on any areas that I don't want to. I'm now ready to glass the board. First thing I need to do is to cut the glass out into pieces that are just a little bit bigger than the area that I need to repair. I've cut 3 different pieces of glass because it will be better to use 3 small pieces laminated one on top of the other rather than one big thick piece of glass. This way it will be stronger. After the glass has been cut, you can start to mix your epoxy. The epoxy I use for West System epoxy, as it's what I know best and what I've always used. For the mix, you will want 5 parts epoxy to 1 part hardener. I use syringes to help measure the right amount out, and I will mix it thoroughly together with a spatula before applying it to the glass. Once you have laminated the glass, it starts to go transparent. You only want to use enough epoxy on top of the glass to make sure that you can see straight through it, that there are no dry areas, but not too much so that you completely swamp the area. You should still be able to make out the texture of the glass through the epoxy. Once you have done one layer, you can start to add extra layers on top. The glass will take anywhere between 4 to 8 hours to harden, depending on the type of epoxy that you use and also depending on the temperature which you're working in. Once the epoxy has hardened, you need to cut away all the dry areas, and after you've done this you need to sand the glass down so that it is flush with the rest of the board. Try and use some wet and dry fine grit paper to get a really nice finish. We now need to put filler on the board. When we paint the filler on, try and do it in nice even layers, then sand it down so it's nice and flush, and to get a great finish, once again use the fine grit wet and dry paper. Finally, all you need to do now is to spray paint your board. Once you start using the board, over time it will blend in and start to age the repair to look like the rest of the board.